say, how are you all this day of your time as you create time to exist? Allow us to begin this interaction, this day of your time, with the laying of a foundation which we may entitle validity. The idea of validity, as you seek it in your society many times, creates the assumption that there is one real reality against which to measure all variations for their relative validity. To some degree, on some levels, this is so. But one of the ideas as a society you are now beginning to discover and understand is that the truth, or what you have for many thousands of your years called the truth, is actually composed of all truths and derives its unity from the validation and equalization of all the variations it can create itself to be. We have many times shared with you the following point of view: that there really is no one way to do anything, no one way to look at anything. Because if there were, there would only be one person, because there would only need to be one person if there were only one way. Look around and see how many individuals there are. That is how many ways there are to look at the universal idea of creation. Creation does not create in excess. There are no extraneous creations and no pointless ones. There would not be diversity if each and every one of those diverse beings that you are and we are did not represent yet one more way that the truth could be manifest, that infinite creation could be realized and understood. All of these ideas are valid. Every perspective is valid. The idea is that to some degree there are things, concepts that are common to everyone in creation, but there aren't as many of them as many of you think. And they are far more general than many of you think. And even some of what seem to be the specific things that are true for large numbers of people are usually only so because you all agree that they shall be true for large numbers of people. And in that sense, it is an arbitrary creation, an arbitrary agreement. And from universe to universe, from dimension to dimension, even these things you call the rules and laws of reality can shift and change to some degree. There are very few things, very few principles that are common to every being in creation. Basically, they can be rendered in the following format. 1. You exist. That will be common for everyone. 2. Whatever vibration, whatever perspective, whatever frequency you put out in life will be the vibration, the perspective, and the frequency you will get back in life. That will also be true for everyone, because that is how what you call universal physical reality is structured. It is patterned on the idea of reflectivity, of balance, of polarity, positive and negative. Whatever vibration you most strongly align yourself to through your thoughts, your beliefs, your definitions, and your feelings will be exactly what determines the style of life you allow yourself to experience in your physical universe. That will be also common for everyone. Aside from those principles, not much else is common or true for every single being within creation. Now, you may recognize on your planet that there are certain things that seem to be common or at least similar for the majority of individuals on your planet in your civilization. This degree of commonality, just because you see it over your whole single planet, sometimes has led you to believe that it must be true for everyone, everywhere in the universe. This is not so. It is simply that you only have your planet so far in your immediate memory to go by. But the idea is that even what you agree to experience or share as a common reality upon your world has many variations within it as far as the individuals on your planet go. And anything you do experience on your planet that you might call common consensus reality is only there because telepathically you are in contact with each other all the time and you agree that these things will be there to represent what may be loosely termed the rules of the game you are playing. But they do change. What you call knowledge and progress indicates that some of the rules have changed. Now, many of you may think, well, no, it has always been a certain way, and we have only discovered the way it is, and that's why the seeming rules change. Some levels this is so, but not all. On some level, a true, profound, hard-held belief actually generated the reality at that time that reinforced that belief. And when enough individuals changed the definition of their belief, it literally, from time to time, changed the physical reality to go hand in hand with the new belief. Sometimes, because of what you have created your society to be, you can have forgotten what some of the original agreements were, and now you have spent time remembering, rediscovering what some of the original agreements were, and now in your present day and age are coming back into a conscious awareness of what some of those agreements were, the agreements that define this physical reality you call your planet Earth, your physical universe, your universal reality. But now that you are rediscovering these things, now that you are beginning to understand and remember what all the agreements are that generate similar realities for all of you, a paradox is occurring in your society. You are beginning to realize that you did in fact create these agreements to begin with, and that means now that you are aware you created them, it means you can change them. You are now recognizing much more freedom of awareness, much more freedom of definition in your society. And you are beginning, at least many of you are beginning, to come to the understanding, even as some of your scientists now are, that what you have for so long called physical reality does not really have an empirical existence apart from the definitions you created to be. In fact, what you are now discovering on many levels of your society, in many levels of your awareness, is that physical reality, what you have for so long called the solid, material, physical world that seems to be outside of you, is actually created from the definitions you have been taught in your society for thousands of years. And that when you change those definitions, you will see changes in the experiences you have within your physical reality. It is a very simple mechanism, and almost everything we will discuss this day of your time will hinge on the understanding that you, each and every one of you, individually and collectively, are literally the creators of your physically experienced reality. We are not talking philosophy here. We are talking mechanics. We are talking physics. We are talking tools, ideas, which you, as you say, can get a handle on to allow you to understand that you can create the reality you desire. And that one of the easiest ways to do so is to grant equality and validity to all the other ways you have done it, and all the other ways you could do it, and all the other ways it is being done by everyone else on your planet. Because when all the choices, when all the opportunities are equal, then it is simple and easy to pick the one you prefer to be the experience of your life. Because all the choices are on the same level, have the same amount of energy, have the same probability to be manifested by you as the life you now have determined you prefer to experience. When you think that one choice over another has more potential to manifest somehow of its own accord, more than any other choice, you are giving it the power to do so. Through your definition, through your assumption that it is not under your control. When you believe you have to struggle and suffer to have something you really desire, then you are placing more power in the idea of the struggling and the suffering than you are in the thing you want. These things are only representative of the habits you have been taught, of the thought patterns you have been taught for thousands of years, and they have been reinforced for thousands of your years. You are now awakening into new definitions. We cannot prove to you that they were, but you always, I guarantee it 100%, you always can prove to yourself that these ideas work, that you are the creator of your reality. For as soon as you get in touch with that and start exercising the option of your decision, you will see the result in your life immediately, I guarantee it. But we are not here to reflect to you that you should adopt our point of view. We share with you the things that have worked for us as a society and the same principles that work for many other societies with whom we are in touch and form the association of worlds. We perceive in the changes your society is going through the same potential, the same recognition, the same basic ideas of realization, and therefore we have picked up upon your frequency and used it as an invitation to reflect to you what has worked for us, so that if you decide to, you can allow similar ideas to work for you, but you don't have to. We cannot interfere in the choices your society makes. That is up to you. It is your world. And you have every right to create it to be what you desire it to be, positive and negative. We are simply here to remind you that you also have the power to create it, whatever you want it to be, positive or negative. That's up to you. In these interactions, as you are willing to co-create them with us, you are literally now in this interaction functioning as a representative, each of you and all of you, as an ambassador, each of you and all of you, of your world right now. And we thank you for allowing me to function as an ambassador of all the respective worlds in the association of worlds of which we are a part. To us, the sharing and the perception of your consciousness is a gift. For through you, our civilizations are given an opportunity to see that many more ways that the infinite creation has of expressing itself within the creation it is. So you are a gift equal to us in our eyes. We simply recognize that you and we have the same energy, but that you use yours in different ways. And that many of you believe that the only way you can use some of your energy is in a negative way, because that is what you are taught. We are simply here to remind you that you can use it in positive ways if you desire to. And it will be very easy and very simple and will not require strife, nor struggle, nor trials by fire in order to understand that you deserve ecstasy just because you say so, just because you can imagine it, just because you desire it. You don't need another reason. Unless, of course, you wish to create one. But that's up to you. In return for the gift that you have given to us of allowing us to experience you, I will ask you now, how may I serve you?
First question. Welcome, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
In one of your previous conversations, you mentioned that the concepts you use for creation are not available on this planet, and there are no words to express them.
Some, not all, but some.
I wonder if you could give us a little elaboration on some of those concepts which
All
are
right.
beyond our comprehension.
All right. Now, to some degree, we have described in a limited fashion one of these concepts before. And from time to time, in order for these ideas to make at least some sense in your language, we will pull what words we are aware of in your language and form new ideas, as you say, coin new phrases to at least give an approximation of the idea. One of these concepts we have termed the quasi-planar reality. We, in our ancient language, had one particular word, one particular recognition, one particular concept that summed up that entire idea. But in your civilization, you do not. Therefore, we call it in your language quasi-planar reality. Now, while this may not precisely define the idea, it will at least start to bring us together around the general flavor of the concept. And the concept is as follows. You have created in your scientific methodologies now an understanding, to some degree, that there may be what you call different universes, parallel worlds, parallel dimensions. The idea is that in perceiving that one dimension might be, quote-unquote, by definition, different from another dimension, then there must be something, some concept, some idea that separates, so that you can call one dimension, and another dimension, another dimension. There must be a barrier, a veil, a frequency, a separation of some sort so that you can know you have two things as opposed to one thing. Understand so far?
Yes.
This barrier, this veil, this sheet, this membrane, if you will, is in and of itself another type of dimensionality. In other words, that which you may call the template that gives structure and definition to the different universes is in and of itself a universe, which we are referring to as the quasi-planar reality, and is to some degree inhabited, a loose definition, by its own level of consciousness. This level of consciousness has projected itself onto many worlds in various ways, is perceived by different dimensions in various ways that are apropos to that particular dimension and the perceptive ability within that dimension. On your planet, one of the strongest ways that the consciousness that is represented by the quasi-planar reality has presented itself to any of your cultures has been in the format you call Kachina energy. Your American Indian culture, being a culture that understood that you do exist in more than one dimension at once, and allowed that to be a part of their daily knowledge, was able to experience, in crossing from one dimension to another, the crossing through of this barrier, the quasi-planar reality, and did recognize it as its own reality. That the structure itself was its own universal dimension, but perhaps at a different vector, at a different degree from what you typically call reality. And so they were able to open up doorways with their minds that allow these beings, these consciousnesses within the quasi-planar reality to manifest aspects of themselves in your Earth terminology. These aspects in your Earth terminology were referred to by your American Indian culture as the Kachina energy. This concept, to some degree, is what our civilization is now, as you say, on the cutting edge of exploring. We have, within what you call the last 100 of our years, discovered ways to insert ourselves deeply into these quasi-planar realities and, as you say, strike up communication with the levels of consciousness that exist therein. Even our civilization has not yet created what you might call acceptable terminology to precisely define the way those beings go about looking at their existence and how they create their reality. But that is one of the areas that represents the leading edge of our exploration. Understand?
Yes.
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about Lemuria.
Lemuria, all right.
I just got back from Sedona, Arizona, and I was told that in Lemuria that there was a misuse of power when they started to breed humans and animals, and that's why everyone on that planet or
On the planet.
On the Earth,
Yes.
thank you, had to die, and that a brown gas came and killed everyone, and that there were certain volunteers that stayed behind to heal the planet.
Now, you are talking about a particular phase within a very long history. You are also talking about something relatively late in the terms of that history, and also something that is concurrent with what you would call Atlantis, more than Lemuria, although some of it was rooted in late Lemurian ideas as well, since Atlantis was, as you would say, an offshoot or a colony of Lemuria. In or around that time, there was the experience of many polarities and many negative ideas. And the idea of what is referred to as the brown gas, in that sense, is actually a reference to a frequency, to a vibration that actually contained and controlled and created a type of etheric, gaseous atmosphere that was, in your terms, poisonous in that sense. But it was actually more of a psychic emanation than something you would literally understand as a brown gas, although it did cause, to some degree, a physical manifestation that appeared that way. Now, this happened late in the Lemurian cycle, Lemuria being the landmass that occupied portions of your Pacific Ocean, Atlantis being the landmass that occupied A small portion of what you now call your Atlantic Ocean, very close to the eastern seaboard of your United States of America, and along the southerly portions as well. But the idea is that from the time the imbalance was created, you have now, as a society, spent many thousands of years going through all the negative manifestations, playing out in reincarnational senses all the negative manifestations of that cycle. And now, this transformational age is a transformational age because you are at the end of that negative cycle. You have now played out almost all of the negative ideas that resulted from that initial imbalance. And that's why you are now, as a society, reawakening into awareness of these energies and now are choosing to use them in a positive way. Understand? Is this sufficient to answer the idea, or was there some specific you wish to discuss?
I just was wondering about the volunteers. We were told that some of us were left down here as volunteers
in a sense,
to heal the planet.
Yes. But now, in a sense, you can at this timing consider all of yourselves to be volunteers. Because you are all of your own choice to be on your planet at this time, to be of aid and assistance in the transformational age, to accelerate it in a positive direction within a relatively short period of time, historically speaking. You are all volunteers now.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to take to heal?
The idea, as we perceive your energy now, this can change one way or another. But the most likely result we perceive now is that in a maximum of what you would call 30 to 50 of your years, your planet will experience complete and total harmony of being and set itself off on a universal understanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also for playing your part. Sure.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I just came back from Sedona also.
Oh, all right.
Received a lot of communication.
That it is a very strong magnetic vortex upon your planet.
Right.
One of the strongest at this time.
And it has also wakened up some agreements that I know I'd like to fulfill, but I need some validation from you on that.
Maybe. Continue.
Well, I have a lot of agreements that I think I'd like to break, and then I also have some agreements that I know I'd like to fulfill. And I know that it has a lot to do with healing this planet also.
All right. It also has everything to do with the following idea, as we have discussed this a few times with many of you. This will be a general understanding. All of you may tap into this and apply it in your own lives in whatever way you wish to. The fulfillment of any agreement you have made requires only the following basics. That you do at any given moment, with all the integrity you have at your disposal, the thing in your life that it excites you the most to do. Because whatever it is in your life at any given moment that is the most exciting thing you could be doing is the fulfillment of your agreement. That's what excitement is there to tell you. That's the reason you get excited about certain things. Because the vibration you call excitement is the sign and the signal of what you agreed to do. That's why you get excited. Excitement is when you are synchronistically, harmoniously aligned with the agreements you made. Understand?
Yes.
So, when you do the things that excite you the most with full integrity, then you are operating at the fullest capacity you possibly can. And when you do that, you will, by being the fullest you can be of the fullest service you can be by doing the thing it excites you the most to do. You will attract the individuals automatically in your life that will be able to get something out of the service you are providing and that it excites you to provide, and therefore will automatically, as you attract the appropriate individuals to serve, be automatically served by the individuals you attract in exactly the way you need to. Exactly, precisely the way you need to be served. As you serve the whole by doing what excites you the most, you then validate the whole. And since you are a part of the whole, the reflection you get will be of support from whatever direction and in whatever way you need it. You will get it. Understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Surely. Remember, we are not discussing an ambiguous philosophy. We are discussing mechanics. Physics. This is the way physical reality is set up, is structured. We are talking about vibrational frequencies, vibrational mechanics. Proceed.
Thank you, Bashar, for sharing today.
And you as well for the co-creation of the dream we are all sharing now together.
I feel that I made the transition into the third dimension, or fourth dimension last spring.
Oh, all right. Congratulations.
And a lot of things happened simultaneously.
Yes.
I found that I was living on many dimensions
Yes.
and experiencing many diverse emotions and situations all at once.
Exciting, is it not?
Exciting and interesting and
Yes.
challenging.
Yes. The process of growth.
A tremendous amount of things happened, seemingly on the negative as well as...
All right, but underline that word many times. Seemingly. Seemingly. For that is only an assumption. You are being given an opportunity to redefine those things, because however it is they appear on the surface does not come with built-in meaning. You now have the option to supply whatever meaning you decide is appropriate for the person you are to situations and circumstances that may look the same as they always have, but no longer need to carry the same negative meaning if you don't apply the same negative meaning to them. And when you apply a new positive meaning to them, you will only get a positive effect out of it.
My question is,
Yes.
how can we feel so tremendously centered one time and the next minute feel disassociated with everything?
Because that's the whole point, my friend. The whole point is that you are creating in general a limbo state, a neutral gear, as it were, to literally disassociate yourself from all the old definitions. For a while, many of you will find yourselves floating in this state, which may feel confusing, which may feel disorienting, but that's the purpose of it, to literally disorient you from the old definitions, to give you the opportunity to see new definitions that you can then choose and apply in your life as you prefer to. That's what this whole transformational age is all about. Unlocking, so that you can have at your disposal a number of opportunities you did not recognize before. Because you are now, for the first time in a long time as a society, consciously aware of that state of unlocking, you are now able to actually perceive it for what it is and use it for what it is in its neutral state, without automatically assuming that just because you're disoriented, this must be negative. Remember that confusion and depression and disorientation are neutral states that are not inherently negative unless you define them to be negative. Depression is only meditation that you invalidate. That's all it is. It's the going into the center of yourself to find the answers you know are not out here, but they are in there. Depression is actually more precisely defined mechanically as compression. And when you then, in that centered state, assess what it is you want to assess, detach yourself from the old definitions, attach yourself to new definitions, you then expand from the compression and come out of the compression, depression, as a new person, a new being with new attitudes, new perspectives, new directions, new beliefs, new definitions, new energy. And you understand it doesn't have to be looked at in a negative way. You can start using it in a positive way, and the sooner you use it in a positive way, the faster you will experience the state, the less time it will hang around. Understand?
Yes, so you're saying that the predominant feeling and reality of the fourth dimension is to force us to go within and create that which...
The prominent feeling of the transition between the third and fourth density is to do that. Once you are operating fully in what you call fourth density, it will be an automatic thing. You will take it for granted, just like you take many other things for granted. You will not have to think twice about it. That unlocking state will be quite a natural thing, and you will recognize it for what it can be recognized for in a positive sense. Follow me?
Yes, I do.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Remember, it is all how you define the idea. Confusion is simply, literally, in the strictest meaning of your word, co-fusion. Fusion with more of yourself. That's all it's for. It may be disorienting, but in a sense, that's the purpose of it. To disorient you. To literally create disillusionment. so that you can then determine which reality you prefer, which definition you prefer, and attach yourself to that, and create that around you from that moment forward. Thank you. Sure.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about your spaceships.
All right.
Can you describe the technical construction and control and guidance?
I will be brief. Do not want to rattle on all day. The idea basic is that they are created out of a few different materials, but in the following manner. We create matrices, if you will, that are metallic and crystalline in nature. We create energy fields that actually represent a dimension of existence in and of itself. On this energy template, the crystalline hull of the ship is literally grown. In being grown in that particular shape, because that energy template represents a dimension unto itself, and because the metallic crystalline substance, the metallic crystalline matrix, grows only in that shaped dimension, no matter how thin the hull is, it cannot take any other shape. So it cannot be bent in that sense, except by what you would call a force of equal magnitude to the dimension in which it was created. It is grown in one crystalline form. It is a homogeneous, seamless idea. Embedded within that matrix are magnetic lines within the energy template that would represent our version of what you would call integrated circuitry. Those magnetic lines junction directly into what you would call the ship's self-aware computer, which links directly with the frequency of the pilot. Therefore, when the pilot activates their mental level to a certain pitch, I shall say, these are all loose terminology, the ship will pick up on that pitch, flow lines of energy along those magnetic lines, and cause whatever shape or change in the shape needs to occur in the ship, such as you say, the opening of a portal. There will simply be no seam. The opening will simply occur within the matrix, and then it will close within the matrix, leaving again no seam, because it is literally a seamless crystal. Now, the basic idea of empowerment is done with light itself, and follows the following principle. And again, I will be very brief. The idea is that we recognize that everything is the product of vibration. Every different thing, or everything you call a different object, is only different because it is a different frequency of the same primal energy out of which everything is created. So, if you have an object, and you place that object, let us say, here, and you measure the object in every way, shape, or form you can, and read its signature pattern, its signature frequency, its signature equation, then take that object and put it here, and read it again, there will be one slight difference. The difference will be representative of the location difference. Because to us, location is not something an object exists within. It is a property of the object itself. It is one of the variables of the vibrational matrix of space and time. Therefore, if you create with light an isolation bubble, what you may colloquially call a force field around the ship that unlocks it from any particular universal reality and allows it to tap into the prime energy matrix, then create the vibration that represents the vibration of the location in space and time you wish to go to, and then impose that tonal pattern upon the ship, then release it from the energy bubble. By definition, it must cease to exist at its old locational equational pattern and take up residence instantly at the new locational vibrational pattern, having, in a sense, dematerialized and rematerialized wherever the vibration defines it ought to be. Not so much having traveled, but in a sense having literally redefined itself within the holographic matrix of all that is.
So that you can do that from any distance from an inch to, say, billions of light years.
And different civilizations will also have different capacities. There are some civilizations that do not require machinery to do this at all. Our civilization is on the verge of that idea. Many individuals can do it automatically, biologically, anyway. But for also many civilizations, this is something that is a very spontaneous thing and is not necessarily something that individuals do at will, although there are civilizations that can. Does this answer the question sufficiently?
Yes, I think it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good night.
How are you?
Perfect, and you?
Fine, thank you.
No, thank you. If I may interrupt you for one moment.
Yes.
Thank you. When we say perfect, that does not mean we do not change. That does not mean we do not grow. It does not mean we do not learn. But to us, all beings as they are absolutely perfect representations of whatever it is they are being at that moment. Continue.
Okay. I would like to ask clarification on confusion.
Confusion.
Yes.
In what way do you find yourself confused?
Well, that depends.
Yes.
On Journeys to the Solar Wind,
Yes.
I have enjoyed very much.
All right. One moment. The reference that is being made is to one of our city ships, approximately 1 of your miles in length. The idea is that if it were to have a name, it would translate in your language as the solar wind. From time to time, in these interactions with you, we have co-created with you meditative states that allow you to project your imagination and your mentality on board these ships. That is the reference that is now being made. Continue.
The more I did the exercise at different times when I'm writing, I can be almost there and at my computer at the same time.
Yes.
I would like to know if you can specifically tell me if there are any agreements with counterparts of entities there
Yes.
which are helping or assisting
Yes.
in the co-creation events of the novel.
A bit.
A bit.
There is some assistance, there is some reflection.
Yes.
But the majority of it is up to you and the being you have created yourself to be. In that sense, what we mean to say is that they are not going to write it for you.
Yes. All that.
Yes. But they will give you reflective assistance by constantly reminding you of the you are. And that will give you all the information you need, because when you exist on the same frequency you imagine they exist on, you will have access to the same information they do.
Okay.
Does that assist you?
Has quite well, yes.
All right.
Very briefly, on the last trip, I know that you do not refer to yourself as names. You don't have names.
No.
There was one fellow who was he was very welcoming.
Well, all of us will be.
It seemed like if he sought me out.
In a sense. To some degree, that is one of the counterparts you are talking about.
How may I refer to him as? Definition, name, number, frequency?
If you need one, invent one in your imagination.
Thank you.
Is there anything you would choose right now?
Catalog.
All right. Why that?
Relationship with the cat.
All right. The cat will be a very appropriate symbol on many levels because that animal in your society generally represents the ability to perceive into more than one dimension at the same time. So, if that is what serves you as a vibration to identify that portion of yourself, then by all means, that is what serves you. Thank you.
Thank you, and one final note.
All right. That was a good note.
During one of our previous conversations, you had made a statement to me, and I would like to use that statement as a title for a novelette or a book. Would that be possible?
And the statement is?
Day Zero, start anew.
Go ahead. You do not need my permission for that. It is a general concept available to any and all of you. In that sense, there is no need to refer to me. Simply paraphrase in whatever way your consciousness understands the concept, and by all means utilize it. You do not need my permission for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Surely.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My husband and I had the pleasure of being introduced to quartz crystal balls in California.
All right.
I'm understanding that you provided the technology for that?
Not really. The idea is that we have discussed many aspects or ideas about it. We did not provide it directly. Individuals on your own planet tapped into their own universal source of information. We simply tailored some of the information from our perspective, gave our point of view, but did not directly provide the information.
Okay. How can they be applied to the average person?
Oh, the average person.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps in an average way.
What effects do they have?
They are very good resonating chambers. In that sense, they create vibrations that can be very conducive to allowing you to unlock very quickly from old definitions and old reality. To some degree, they generate an analogy, a sonic analogy, to the isolation field that we project around our spacecraft that allows us to go into whatever dimension of space or time we wish to. They are a sonic analogy of that isolation field. Therefore, while you are creating the tone with those bowls, you can let your imagination dimension doorway lead you to wherever and whenever you wish. And you can make a very solid connection. You can accelerate the cellular structure of your body, elevate its vibratory frequency very rapidly by being immersed in that sonic field that the bowl generates.
Thank you.
And use your imagination as the director of how you wish to use it specifically for yourself.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Surely.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Let's discuss the topic of education.
Education.
I'm sure you've had the opportunity to observe this planet and many different systems of education used on this planet.
Some.
The question is two parts.
All right, part of one.
What might you see as some of the obvious changes that could be made to increase incentive in youngsters to want to participate, want to learn?
That which your society is now recognizing on certain levels to be the idea of interactiveness, of participation, direct participation, involvement, physical action, taking part in the things that they desire to do, learning by doing, as you say.
I see. And the second part of the question would be, what are some of the systems of education used in other societies somewhat more advanced than ours? Not necessarily the topics or subject matter, but the methods of education.
One, which I will pull from your own society's past in Atlantean times. Beings were gathered together in what you would call loosely a class situation, and there was a being who then began on a drum of particular frequency to match what would be a regularly pulsed beat. And as everyone's heartbeat began to match that beat, they allow themselves to become of a particular oriented state, wherein then scenes and scenarios were described to them, pictures were shown to them, that allowed them to actually identify as the things they were shown. In other words, for example, if they were shown a picture of a sailing vessel, in that, what you might call lightly hypnotic state, they were allowed to explore every aspect of what it means to be a sailing vessel, to project their consciousness into the very concept itself, to feel the ocean under their hull, to feel the planks that they were constructed of, to feel the wind billowing the sail, to feel it straining at the mast, to become the idea itself, to be lost in that daydream, and then when they emerged from that particular altered state, to simply know everything they needed to know about the idea of ships.
Were the students taught to regulate their heartbeat? Was that something as a method that was taught to them to do? Or
that as well, yes. And first they were given the benefit of matching the drum.
So this knowledge of being able to learn how to match your heartbeat was like a prerequisite you had to learn before you could go to the class or something.
Oh, it made it much simpler, yes. It was a very natural thing, in a sense.
something more natural to do in a higher dimension?
Can be.
I see.
One of the ways.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Apply your own imagination. In whatever way, shape, or form, information comes through the gate that you chose to be as well. Shooting.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about my concept of reincarnation.
Oh, all right.
Are we always reincarnated on this planet, in this universe, with these types of bodies, or does the energy move from level to level?
It moves from level to level, but this is a linear format in which we are discussing this idea. Your concept, the generally planet of reincarnation, is a linear one because you are used to the idea of linear time, because that is your illusion, that is your structure, that is your format for your dimension. All the lives exist now. But you look at it as going from level to level because you have created the concept of below and higher, before and after, cause and effect, beginning, middle, ending. That creates the linear format in which you typically see reincarnation, and you can, as a consciousness, experience it that way, but all of these lives on all the different levels or dimensions or civilizations, in a sense, on one level, all exist now. You can use what we call the radio analogy. And that is simply that you know on your radio any particular program you might receive at any given moment. You know all the programs are there all at once, but you only get the one your dial is tuned to at any given moment. And you go from the program you were listening to a moment ago to the program you are listening to now to the program you will listen to in a few moments hence. But all the programs were there all at once, and you could have taken them in any order you wish. So to some degree, recognize that this can happen as well. Linearly speaking, it doesn't have to be in one direction. In other words, you could have this life now, and after this life, you could decide to have a life you had 3 centuries ago. Next. You understand? They all coexist at the same time. Another analogy that can be of assistance in understanding this, or allowing it to make sense in your three-dimensional terminology, is the analogy that you can refer to called your film analogy. If you consider each life or each moment to be a frame upon your film, you recognize that each frame considers itself to be whole and separate from every other frame. And that in order to gain a sense of continuity, one frame must precede another frame, which must precede another frame after that, in order to tell the story of that life. However, to the projectionist, all the frames on the film exist all at the same time. And the projectionist can look at any frame in any order he or she wants to. Understand?
Yes.
Does this clarify the idea to some degree?
Yes, it does.
But yet, linearly speaking, you can go anywhere, anytime, any level that you are aware of that you can go to. The only thing that has created what seems to be a repetition of reincarnation upon your planet, in linear terms, has been because you have taught yourselves out of recognizing that you can go anywhere, anytime you want to. In forgetting that idea, you have created an automatic return mechanism that does not allow you to recognize, even sometimes after physical death, that you have the opportunity of going anywhere, anywhen you want to. Because you have created levels that are very strongly attached to the physical belief system, and when you simply go into those levels after physical death and do not rise higher than that because you are not taught that those levels exist, then you may automatically simply hover in that level for a moment and then automatically return because it is such a level close to the physical one, and you may not know there are other levels you could go to. Now that you know that, when you create the idea of physical death, you will be aware of your options, aware of your choices, and you can pick and choose to your heart's delight.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Sure.
Hi, Bashar.
Well, you good day.
I'm very happy to be with you.
Oh, we are ecstatic to be with you all.
Thank you. Well, one reason I like being with you is you seem so polite and...
Oh, thank you very much.
by comparison does, but then you're so positive about it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, I have a stumbling block on that. You say that we're equal.
Yes, just different.
Yeah, well, the difference bothers me.
Oh, why?
You say that we've created this universe of limitation and forgetfulness.
Yes.
Which to me equals like suicide and stupidity.
Not really.
Can you tell me any...
Do you want our positive point of view of what you have created?
Yes, exactly.
There is, for what you call Earth, within the Association of Worlds, a nickname. It is Masters of Limitation. Now, this is a positive point of view, yes. For understand this, many worlds experience various forms of limitation, but almost no other world we have come upon has it to the extent of the focus that your world has. Now listen, this means you know you're strong enough to do it that way. And what it also means is that when you allow yourself as a society to finally integrate all that limitation into your awareness and use it in a positive way, and use it for the lessons you can use it for, you, in a sense, on one level, will be one of the strongest civilizations in the Association of Worlds. Because any other civilization from that point forward that you may run across will almost be guaranteed to not have experienced limitation to the degree you have, and therefore any assistance you can render to them will probably be very simple for you. Oh! On the verge of overpopulation, on the verge of starvation, on the verge of a world war? No problem. You see what we mean?
I don't see the value of it.
Maybe not now. But let me put it this way. Whatever it is you are realizing now that you prefer to be, in a sense, that realization is the product of everything you have ever been. If you look at everything you have ever been, both the positive and the negative, you will realize it has brought you to where you are now. If you are willing to allow even the negative events in your past to serve you now in a positive way, you will be that much more, I shall say, well-rounded than many entities and consciousnesses who have never experienced the idea of physical limitation at all. Because you have, in a sense, to some degree, a deeper appreciation through experience of that many more ways that infinite creation has of manifesting itself. Physical reality and even experiences of limitation are just as valid as an experience as anything else, and the lessons that come from it can always be applied in a positive way. You can look at it this way if you want. Sometimes individuals can more easily discover what it is they are by discovering what it is they're not. Understand?
Yes.
Don't look at it from this point of view as something that holds you back. You have done it. You have experienced the limitation. You have played it all out. Now utilize the idea in a positive way, and it will accelerate you greatly. You can use what we call the rubber band analogy. Understand that great transformation is not the product of mediocrity. And if you consider all the negativity and limitation of focus that your world has done, like a rubber band pulled very far back into negativity, well, just imagine how far to the positive side you will go once you let go. In a sense, it is a pendulum swing. And in a sense, you are giving yourself a buildup of energy so that when you finally allow the rubber band to snap loose, you will go onto the positive side that much farther and that much faster than another civilization might. In other words, for all the degree of the things your world has experienced and now has under, as you say, its collective belt, many other worlds may take millions of years to process. You have done it all in a few thousand years. That's how strong you knew you were. That's how powerful you knew you were. 1,000,000 years to process this? I can do it in a few thousand. Then it will be over and done. I'll have the experience, and I can go on that much more quickly to assisting all other civilizations to learn. They can also transform anything into what they desire it to be. All of you have chosen this experience of limitation to allow you to see exactly how powerful you actually are. Because if you are now creating a world that desires peace, and you have been able to create that desire out of all the negativity your world has experienced, there is nothing you cannot do. Nothing. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
It is one of the ways, and you have chosen it. But now, this is the transformational age. This is the transformational life. In a sense, and not meaning to invalidate all the other lives, this is the life you have all been waiting for so long. This is where you now get to apply everything you have ever done in the most ecstatic and positive way you can. So don't invalidate your path. That is a stepping stone that has brought you to where you are. Invalidate any portion of yourself, and you remove from yourself the ability to get where you want to go. Because you do not proceed as a whole idea, containing both the recognition of the positive and the negative lesson. Only by accepting it all as equal and valid can you then proceed as a whole integrated being into whatever reality you prefer to. Remember that the process of transformation is not leaving things behind, it is integrating them within you and blending them in a harmonious way. Remember, the more aware you become, the more aware of potential negative realities you will also become. That doesn't mean you have to choose them, but you will become more aware of negative realities you could choose if you had a mind to. But once you become more aware of them, you also become more aware that you perhaps don't prefer them, and so continue to choose more accelerated and positive reality. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you.
You've helped me to love myself.
Thank you, for that is what it is all about. Unconditional love, inward and outward. Thank you. Thank you again. Sherry!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm having a difficult time absorbing a lot of what you're telling us.
Yes?
How can I achieve it?
Achieve it. All right. In what way do you perceive it is difficult to absorb? Before you answer the question, do let me remind you. What you are hearing as the verbal part of this communication is not the only level you are receiving this information on. So the first step is to take it for granted that whether you seem to understand it auditorily or not, you are getting the information on whatever level you need to get it. You understand?
Yes.
Many times in these interactions, you will discover this within what you call the next 72 of your hours in your dreams. That much more of the conversation that we are having comes out in your dreams when you allow it to come out. So first step is to relax into the understanding that whether it seems so or not, you are absorbing whatever it is you need to absorb, even though you may not be conscious of it at this moment. All right? So relax with that, first of all. Secondly, in what way do you feel or believe you are having difficulty absorbing the idea?
I don't understand a lot of what you're saying.
All right. What is it that is not clear? Can you pick a specific idea that we have shared?
The different levels. I don't get a lot of concept of what you're talking about.
That's all right. That's all right. Because understand, what we call different levels of dimensional reality are all your definitional creations anyway. Everything is the same one thing. And levels are created out of that same one energy. Levels, in that sense, are arbitrary creation, are simply perspectives and points of view. They only exist because many individuals in your consensus reality define that they exist. You don't have to think in terms of levels. If you are already thinking in terms of a oneness, then in a sense you are already homogenizing what many other individuals have separated for themselves. Understand?
Yes.
You don't have to necessarily think in the terminology we are discussing this with. The idea is to trust that your imagination will translate the concepts we are saying in whatever way works best for you. That's what this is all about.
Is meditation a faster way?
It can be. But doing what excites you the most at any given moment is probably one of the quickest forms of meditation there is. Understand? Now, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Are you sure? You sound hesitant. Oh, all right. Are you doing in your life what excites you the most?
No.
Why not?
Fears.
Fears of what? Failure.
Yes.
Why? If what excites you the most is really who you are, how could you fail at being you? You can't be anyone else. Why would you assume that it wouldn't be natural for you to be you? Because what it is that excites you the most excites you because it is most you that you can be. Do you feel that doing what excites you the most will not allow you to have a living? That it won't support you? That it might be a struggle? All of these things automatically do not go hand in hand with the definition of what excites you the most. What excites you the most is most who you are, is the most effortless thing you can possibly ever do in your life, and is the thing that will bring you the highest level of abundance to allow you to continue to be the person it excites you the most to be. Those things are provided automatically by doing what excites you the most. So you can understand, if you are willing to, that if you are willing to have the conviction to do what excites you the most, you will not have to fear that you will be struggling. You will not have to fear that you will not be abundant. Because those things, the excitement automatically tells you, this is who and what you are, and you can do this most easily and most effortlessly in your life. Why else would you not allow yourself to believe that you can do what excites you the most? And do you have a particular idea of what that might be?
No. There's a lot of negativism.
All right.
I wish to get rid of it, but I'm not sure.
All right. First of all, understand you never really get rid of anything, but I understand what you mean. What you are going to do is transform it. There's nowhere to get rid of anything to. The idea is to take the same energy that is now manifesting in your life as a negative and transform it into a positive by redefining it. Because understand this. No situation and no circumstance has built-in meaning. They are all neutral, blank, empty, zero, devoid of meaning. You are taught to supply an automatic meaning to these neutral circumstances. The automatic meaning you supply determines utterly the effect you get out of it. Positive meaning in, positive effect out. Negative meaning in, negative effect out. Simple physics, once again. Sometimes you have been taught to apply meaning so quickly and so automatically, so unconsciously, that when a circumstance occurs in your life, you do not even question the idea of the meaning it comes with. Oh, everyone knows that if this happens, it's bad. Everyone knows that. You don't have to. You don't have to buy into that belief, that definition. Each and every situation that comes along in your life at any given moment is neutral. Give it the definition you want to give it. If you believe, if you desire that you are a positive person, if that is how you choose to think of yourself, then why assume that any event in your life could possibly be negative? Even though on the surface it may appear to be similar to events that happened in your past that you've then labeled as negative and got a negative result out of, just because it looks the same on the surface, if you know you've changed, don't give it the same negative meaning, and you won't get the same negative effect out of it. You will get a positive effect. Even if another individual comes into your life and interacts with you in a way they desire to be negative towards you, if you only know that you attract circumstances into your life that give you a positive result because you have decided you are only a positively oriented person, then no matter what their intention is, you will only get a positive result out of their best efforts to produce a negative one in your life. Understand?
Yes.
Is this assisting you?
Yes.
Assign the meaning you prefer. You will only attract the results that are the vibration you believe you are most strongly. Decide what you are, and then understand that until you decide to change that decision, it will remain It doesn't have a mind of its own. Only you can decide. So if something seems, here's that word again, seems to be negative, it is because you are choosing, deciding, whether consciously or unconsciously, to define it as a negative. As soon as you do that, you cannot get any other result but a negative out of it. Define it as a positive, and you will not be able to get any other result other than a positive one. Understand? When we also say, do the thing that excites you the most, we do not mean that you have to have an awareness of the thing that will be the most exciting thing you will ever do in your entire life. We do not mean you have to have an awareness of a career, a project that spans years and decades. We are talking about now, in the moment. If you have such a project, all well and good. Focus on it, act upon the opportunities that represent it, do it. But the idea that works both for what you call wide-range projects, careers, and living in the moment is the same. And that is simply as follows. At any given moment, act upon the thing in that moment that excites you more than any other thing that you are most capable of acting upon in that moment. Act on it with integrity, and it will lead you into the circumstances to give you the ability to do the next most exciting thing that will come along. Because excitement is a thread. It leads to all other excitement. It is the arrow that points the way. Follow it. Even though one event on the surface may seem to have nothing at all to do with what excited you a moment ago, it is the excitement that tells you it is connected. It doesn't have to be on the surface connected in appearance, and very often it won't be, because there are so many ways you could get to where you're going that you can't always necessarily analyze nor create in an analytical sense a recognition pattern out of the surface features. Trust the feeling of the excitement that comes with it, and you will always understand that you are completely, synchronistically aligned with the idea you chose to be in this life. Understand?
Yeah.
I guarantee you 100% that as soon as you act upon the things that excite you the most with absolute conviction and integrity, that's the lifestyle you will then have. I cannot prove it to you. Only you can prove it to yourself and all of yourselves. But what I can do is guarantee 100% that the mechanism will work for you, because it always has. And it always will. And there are no exceptions, not even you. All right?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for allowing us to reflect what you already know. Sherry!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question on frequencies.
Frequencies! Yes.
Okay, all of our effects that happen to us in our life are really different frequencies.
In a sense, yes.
And all of our thoughts are frequencies.
Yes.
Is this some kind of physical particle vibration of some kind?
Physiological particles, or the effect you call physiological particles, will reflect the different frequencies, yes, but they in that sense will not be the cause of it. They will be the reflection of the frequency, of the primal energy.
When we get a positive effect in our life, when we achieve a goal, is this similar to algebraic addition of these frequencies?
To some degree, yes. It can be an equation in that sense. There will always be, on the other side of the equal sign, that which matches the original frequency.
Okay, and my next question relates a little bit to this frequency on intuition.
Yes.
Okay. Now, some people are correct with their intuition, some people are not. Is this because of the frequency?
It is because of a few different factors. As follows is perhaps the strongest one. Anything you call an intuitive and or psychic or premonitory idea always is a sensing of the energy that is the most likely manifestation to occur at the time the prediction is made. in the very next second that energy can change. Sometimes the rendering of the recognition into a prediction will be enough to change the energy, thereby allowing the prediction to render itself obsolete. The sensings are always made in the present. Sensings are never made of the future or in the future. They are made in the present, of the energy of the present. If a particular event has a great deal of momentum behind it and seems unlikely to change, then that prediction, as you say, comes true. If that event has a degree of energy behind it that can be diverted, then sometimes when an individual is made aware by the prediction of where that momentum is and they don't want it to be there, their mind will change the energy in another direction, and when that happens, you can take the prediction or the intuition and fold it up sideways and throw it out the window. Because the intuition, the prediction in and of itself, has changed the energy. But always intuition is a sensing of the energies that are in play at the time, the very moment of the sensing itself. Those that have a great degree of momentum and are unlikely to change, in your terms, will come to pass. Those that are very variable can fluctuate wildly. And you can, in that sense, require a prediction from moment to moment to moment to keep up with the changes. However, the idea also is to recognize that there are many ways for an individual to subjectively interpret the information that they are getting. Here's an example, just in terms of the level of psychic intuition in that sense. Everyone is psychic. Everyone is telepathically connected. But you also have your own frame of reference, your own belief structure, in which and through which you interpret many of the ideas you are very accurate about. In other words, let us say an individual is going to create in their life a situation that will put them through what you would call very strong and dire changes. Now, let's say another individual picks up on that energy. But for the individual picking up on the energy they feel is represented to them in a certain way. In other words, if they were going to be experiencing that dire energy, they would interpret it in the following way. It would happen to them in the following way for them to feel the same idea. So what they may do is put their definition on how they think the situation would have to come about for them to experience the same level of energy, and they maybe make the assumption that that individual is going to experience it exactly in that way. So they make the prediction, this will happen to you and this will happen to you. Now the dire circumstance happens, but not in the way that was predicted, because the way that was predicted was relevant only to the one doing the prediction. Understand? It can happen that way too, in an interpretive fashion. So, all we are suggesting is that you are all very intuitive, you are all very in touch, and you are all telepathically intertwined. But be aware that when you are sensing for someone else in particular, there can be, many times, an interpretation of the energy that is more relevant to how you would experience the event they are going to experience than the way they are actually going to experience it. Now and then, you can, as you say, hit the nail on the head for exactly how they are going to experience it, and that is most easily done when you have as few preconceptions as possible as to how individuals need to experience the changes in their life. And to have as few preconceptions as possible as to how you need to experience the changes in your life. Understand? Is this clarifying the idea to some degree?
A little bit.
All right.
I'll review it on the tape because it went kind of fast. Would this mean that wishful thinking could enhance a certain event to occur?
Yes. If you understand that wishful thinking is more than wishful thinking. If you understand that as you think, so you are, and that concept is firmly a part of your belief structure, then you will understand it isn't, as you say, just wishful thinking. That your attitude and your perspective is everything. And that the idea is not just to have a nice attitude, regardless of the fact that everything is falling apart around you. The idea is to understand that if everything in that sense is falling apart around you in a negative way, it is because of the belief systems that you have. And things falling apart around you can be viewed in a positive or a negative way. So, the idea of wishful thinking is simply that you can review all the options, all the probable ways you could manifest your reality, but when you decide that you prefer one of those ways, it becomes more than what you call just wishful thinking. It becomes exactly the thing that does manifest the reality you get. But in any event, any attitude and any perspective will go in to play its part in reinforcing the prime belief that you have. Yes?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Surely. Well, one more. Allow us to remind each and every one of you that even though some of these ideas may not seem to apply immediately into your life, it is no accident that you are hearing all of these questions, and there is some way to apply them somehow in your life. Remember that everything you participate in, to some degree, on some level, even though there may be varying degrees of significance, still has significance for all of you. You are all connected in various ways, and you can apply this information across the board in any number of ways to your own life. Everything is valid. Everything is a perspective. Everything is a gift, and everything is a sharing. Extract from it what serves you. Good day.
Hi. Before I ask my question, I'm just curious, how much do you actually tune into the person, such as myself, that's up here asking a question?
It will depend upon the interaction at any given moment as to what portions or what aspects of your energy we, in that sense, siphon through our consciousness.
Okay.
It will vary from individual to individual greatly sometimes. Sometimes we will be in touch with all the threads of the connection to other relationships that you are, both in present and in past and what you call future ideas. Sometimes we'll be in connection to what you call your higher self, your future self. Sometimes the collective consensus reality. Understand?
Yes.
It will depend.
Okay. My question actually is for a dear friend that couldn't be here today.
Dear friend, all right.
She asked if I would please ask. She wanted to know about her brother who is paralyzed from the neck down. If there's any way to heal himself, or is there a way for that condition to serve him?
Always both. Always. Every circumstance can serve, and any individual can heal themselves. It depends completely on what they choose to believe the situation was created in the first place for, whether they are willing to understand that they have control over it, whether they are willing to learn from it what they can learn, and whether they are willing to understand that they can learn the same lesson in other ways, less limiting ways. It's up to them. It will be hinged completely on the definitions of that person's belief system. But yes to all those questions. Understand?
Yes, so if he was to get away from the idea of the limit of belief that he will never walk again, if he would change that idea totally around, then...
One of the easiest ways to do that, as I have said, is to get in touch with why he would believe he would need to create the circumstance in this way to begin with. First step is to own that it was that individual's creation, because you cannot change what you do not own. The idea, first of all, then, is to realize, what am I learning about myself by having created the situation in this fashion? When an individual gets in touch with what it is they are learning about having created it that way, then they can ask the next question. What other ways could I learn the same things? When they allow their imagination then to reveal to them other ways they can learn the same thing, once a particular symbol or circumstance no longer serves as the only way to deliver the message, then they don't have to rely on that being the only experience they have. And they can transform it into other experiences that deliver the same message, that perhaps having the experience this way first forced them to get in touch with. Because many times, because of the way people in your society are brought up, you ignore the message when it comes in subtle ways. And so many times you must create, or are forced to create, drastic measures to get you to face things you need to face, to fulfill the agreements you made. You don't have to do it that way. But because many of you operate on an unconscious level with these beliefs, many times it takes drastic measures to bring you fully into the focus of the things you need to examine. Now, once you examine them, then the original way that you forced yourself to face them doesn't have to stick around. And you can transform it into anything you wish. You are always free. Always. Understand?
Very well. Thank you.
Our love to you, our love to that individual, our love to your friend, and remind your friend that, again, vast limitation reflects great strength. Understand?
Yes.
And do not see that individual as weak. Do not see the individual, in that sense, as limited. See them as strong enough to have chosen this idea. It is a bold move. Understand?
Yes.
When you see them as strong, you will then radiate that vibration to them. They will pick up on it, and they will not feel from you the idea of pity. They will feel that you believe in them, that they can transform it into anything they wish, because everything is transitory. See them as infinite. See them as eternal. If you wish to see this as any kind of an idea that's negative at all, then see it as a minor inconvenience for the moment. Understand?
Yes.
But you don't even have to see it that way. It is their lesson. They can learn from it. They can change it. It can be anything they want it to be. Anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
Shirley!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I just came back from a trip in Mexico where I purchased several stones, crystals and topaz. And I was wondering what the significance of the topaz is.
It can have a general significance in your society, but it also can have a specific significance relative to you. The general significance of the crystal as a trigger represents to some degree the type of energy, the golden energy, that would represent the source of light itself. An energy that lightens you up in many ways. A very light energy, that which accelerates your vibration in very specific ways, in very humorous ways, in ways that allow you to move easily, gliding effortlessly through transitions. It is as a lantern that lights the path ahead of you. That is its basic representational symbology in your general consensus reality. Now, how it specifically applies to you, up to you to determine by answering the question, how does that particular crystal idea allow you to feel? For remember that all crystals are triggers and catalysts for the energy you are. So why are you attracted to it specifically?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. It's very beautiful. I see a lot of light come out of it.
Yes.
I do feel the happiness that it is.
It is a happy vibration. Can you take that as a sign of a reflection of the happiness you are?
Yes.
All right. Then in that sense, you become the crystal.
I see.
Literally. It is only a catalyst. It is only a reflection of the crystallization of your consciousness in specific modalities.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Sharon.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Okay. I want to know.
Okay.
I want to know what you can tell us about how our country is being run, and I can hardly wait for that answer.
Well, you're running it. You tell me.
Oh.
You, all of you. You are your government. You. Open the lines of communication. Share as equals, not in an attacking, not in an accusatory mode, with love. Let those individuals you have assigned to run your government know what you prefer. Remind them that you are all your government. Understand? You are running yourselves. That's up to you. But the idea of what you have created your government to be, to some degree, is as follows. Because much of the present structure is based upon the idea of the fears that you refuse to face and take responsibility for and integrate as a society, then what you're doing is creating governmental forms based on those fears. Protect me. Save me. In creating any entity out of fear, Like any entity, it will have to survive on what it knows best, the generation of fear, because that is what it was created from. Take back responsibility for that fear. Take back responsibility for the fact that you are all in this together, that you are all on the same level, that you are all equal, all valid, all have a say, and that you are all your own government, and then what you call your classical idea of a government won't have to rule you, it can serve you, simply as what you would call an organizational body. And you can remind them that the idea is that they are not losing their power by you taking yours back. It is that you are all together gaining self-empowerment, trust, and the ability to work spontaneously with each other as equals. Open those lines of communication in whatever way your imagination lovingly projects. You don't have to attack, you don't have to blame, for they are only what you have created them to be. Be the person, be the government, be the world you want your world to be. Be a reflection, a living example of what you desire. And then they can see in you the reflection they can choose to match if they want to. But remember this, there are already an infinite number of Earths. There is already an Earth that is of the vibration you desire to be. Be that vibration more every day, and you will then translate yourself to that Earth day by day. Individuals around you will seem to be changing. It is you that will have changed. You will attract yourself to whatever Earth is representative of the vibration you prefer. Those that do not prefer that will remain on the Earth that represents their vibration. You will think it is the same Earth to some degree, but it won't be. Literally. Understand? But have the conviction. Act. Become involved. Put out there the vibration in loving terms of what you prefer your world to be without invalidating anyone else's point of view. Let them simply see you. Let them hear the vote you cast, so that others can decide by seeing the example in you to cast their vote the same way if they want to. If they don't, you will still wind up experiencing the Earth you prefer. Understand?
Yes.
Does that assist you?
Yeah. Would it be good would it be all right for us to know who, I read somewhere that some of our politicians are being influenced by the dark forces.
They are not being influenced. If they have created in their life fear and doubt, rage, frustration, guilt, hatred, then they are choosing to align themselves with the idea of negativity, and like attracts like. They are influencing themselves and allowing themselves to choose the idea of being influenced by anything they are operating on the same level of. Understand?
And there aren't dark forces then?
There are negative ideas. There are negative entities as such. There are entities and consciousnesses that can express themselves in a negative way. But understand, any vibration you are not has absolutely no power not only to not influence you, it can't even find you. If you are not in the same frequency, it doesn't even know you exist.
Oh, wonderful.
Understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shooting!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I had another question.
All right.
Your answer about the various Earths makes me wonder about dreams that seem so real.
Yes.
Sometimes
they are indicative.
In another?
Sometimes, yes.
Really a lifestyle, and it's not just a lesson.
Cannot not be both. Understand this. Anything, no matter what its definition, anything you imagine is somewhere, somewhen, somehow real. Because you cannot imagine non-existence. Your imagination is keyed into other dimensions. Your imagination is the gate to other dimensions. That's what it is. So anything you imagine somehow is real. It may not be immediately applicable in your dimension, it may remain a fantasy as far as its ability to manifest into physical reality in your world, but that doesn't mean it's not real on its own terms, and doesn't mean that in your dream state as a non-physical being that you can't experience it. It is real, yes. Everything you can imagine, somewhere, somehow, is real. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
Does that answer your question sufficiently?
I believe so.
Thank you very much, and pleasant dreams. Sure.
Hello, Bashar.
How you good day?
I'm having a challenge between reality and illusion, or it being the same.
Yes, it is. You are dreaming right now.
I find it day to day.
Yes.
I find myself more like looking myself in the mirror when I wash my face, and looking in the mirror and seeing a space person there looking at me.
Yes. Well, none of you are original to your planet anyway.
I was in Sedona this weekend, and I found myself in one of the vortexes, and it's like, it was very real to me that was a spaceship, and
in a sense, yes.
And that all the children that were there were just kind of like children that come in the same spaceship I had.
Yes. Now, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Thank you. What will you do with this understanding?
I will share it.
In what way?
Well, I have been on, I became aware about 5 years ago, and it's kind of like I invite people around me to come and see for themselves and see what value they can get out of participating in different teachings.
All right. Anything else? Any other way you wish to express your service?
Well, by being who I am.
Well, absolutely.
Another thing that comes up for me is like day to day I find like I'm talking to people and their face starts changing.
Yes.
I see different faces in their face.
You are seeing more dimensions of their being.
Yeah. Sometimes I go to lectures and I see speakers.
Yes.
Like I'm in the back. Three-dimensional. Like I'm in the back, I'm on the side. I know what they got on the back.
This is a very natural thing now that many of you will begin to experience because you are expanding your awareness of what you are as a multidimensional being.
Yeah. I find myself also like dreaming things that I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I don't remember what it is, but I know it was very real.
Yes.
And my son was in Sedona with me, and he had a dream, very real, and he expressed fear of. On the dream, it was like somebody was asking him to leave to another dimensional, and somebody said, "No, you cannot take him yet."
Yes.
And he says, "Mom, will they come after me when you're not around, or where I don't have to touch?"
No.
So it's just kind of like a challenge, you know. It's kind of like,
right.
Is this real or is this an illusion?
It is real. What you call reality is an illusion, but that's what reality is. It's a dream. You see, the whole idea of this transformational age is that you're all beginning to realize that dream reality is real, and that what you call physical reality is a dream. That it's the same one reality. The more you blend the two, then the more solid your dreams can seem, or the more dream-like your physical world can seem. One way or another, from one direction or another, you will create a blending of the two ideas into one. But the idea to remember is that, again, what you fear is what you will attract. Give it a positive meaning. Teach your child a positive meaning. Allow them to apply a positive meaning, and there will be nothing to fear. Only, as one of you have already said, fear itself is the only thing that generates any reason to fear. There is nothing inherent in any circumstance that is fear-provoking. Only the fear of the circumstance generates all the reasons to fear that circumstance. Understand?
Right. Another thing is, like, I woke up this morning, and it happens to me more and more, and like where my reality is like opening up the window, and it's kind of like it's not the outside, it's like paradise.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird too.
Why is that weird?
I look at myself in the mirror and I go, boy, you're really getting weird.
All right. Very soon, what you call weird will be the natural state of all of you. Now, remember this. what you are recognizing in the mirror as connections to other places and other times is not for the purpose of running from where you are to go and find them. The purpose is to remind you of who you are, where you are, and to match that frequency there. To create the world you long for where you are. That's the whole idea. To match that frequency, to meet us halfway. To co-create with us the conducive vibration, the conducive atmosphere in which we can interact as equals. Not to run from the earth, but to create heaven on earth. That's the whole idea. What you are seeing as these connections, sometimes at first can create within you a longing and a desire to get back there and away from earth. But the whole idea is to create that vibration you discover within yourself on the earth, so that you can blend the earth with all the other worlds you are now connecting into. Understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shooting!
Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
How are you?
Perfect, and you? Okay. Thank you.
I've never been very attracted to crystals, and I had a friend of mine call me from Houston and tell me about a crystal called an celestial, of which I got a strong power feeling and felt that I wanted to experience what that was like. Can you tell me anything about that? It's from Brazil.
It is, as we perceive the energy heavily connected to what you call directional focus. In other words, once again, like any crystal, it will be a trigger, a reflection, a catalyst. It has its own power, but the power for the changes you go through are not in the crystal. They are in you. But that particular crystal can be very strongly aligning to a particular focus. In other words, if you have a particular idea that excites you very much, that crystal can reflect the idea of the clarity and the direction, the linear focus that can allow you to accelerate that idea very strongly and attract it into your reality. Understand?
Yes. Was there some purpose that I am desiring of this then?
You tell me.
I don't know.
Why did you attract such an idea?
Maybe because I desire to align more.
That's one level. What else?
Opening my inner self more.
All right. Do you have something in particular that excites you more than anything else?
Oh, sure.
Such as?
Well, I could give you a list.
Pick the most exciting one.
The thing that excites me more than anything in
More than anything?
Teaching.
All right. In what way?
Teaching others and myself as I'm teaching to realize that we're more than we are. Pretty much doing the same thing you're talking about.
Yes. Now, in being aligned in a specific way, then all your energy is created to be superconductive and what you call coherent, like a laser, so that it's all going in the same direction and is not in that sense, shall we say, peripheral.
Or scattered.
Yes. So it allows a focus to bring itself back in to a center beam, a thin linear beam, to allow the energy to come through you and proceed in that direction effortlessly, rather than remaining for a while and, as you say, rumbling around until you find a direction for it. It is something that represents a focus. Not an idea of concentration, not an idea of effort, but simply a clarity of focus in linear terms.
I understand. Also, the last time we spoke, you shared with us the meaning of Halloween. I thought it might be interesting for people to know that.
Again, there can be many meanings, but the fundamental representation, the fundamental symbology of what you call your All Hallows Eve, your November 1st, and your November 2nd are the remnant traditional days of recognition of the day before, the day of, and the day after the destruction of Atlantis. That is what All Hallows Eve is all about. The portent of the negative coming to the surface, the unlocking and the going into another dimension, the beginning of a cycle that you are now finalizing. The getting in touch with all the ideas within yourself and the communication between the physical and the non-physical. And it was symbolized by that event. In a sense, in an energy sense, because of that cycle, and because you are still to some degree in that cycle, the date you call November the 1st is in an energy sense your actual New Year's Day. Not your January 1st, November 1st is your true spiritual New Year's Day. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Bashar, yes, I just heard today on a television program, they had a group of witches, and they also had Whitley Strieber, the writer of Communion.
All right.
And one of the witches, who's the resident witch of New Salem, said that I think they're called Wiccan school of witchery, they believe that Halloween is the beginning of their new year, so they have that recognition.
Yes. This is, again, something that has been carried through many ancient traditions, but has been forgotten and lost in what you call ritual and ceremony. One of the strongest traditions to remember the idea, and therefore logically, one of the ones that manifested into what is now your present-day understanding of the ritual you call witchcraft is the ancient Celtic or Celtic traditions of the Druids. Because that was a remnant aspect of Atalantean culture, responsible for the idea of the arranging of the stones in your England area as an attempt to realign what they believed they had lost and get back to the idea of their connection of nature. And that is the primary thrust of what you call now the nature religions on your planet. The memory of the natural connection you all had in Atalantean times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Greetings.
And to you. Good night.
I would like to explore and hopefully transform what has been a primary learning tool for me, I think, up until this point.
Do share.
I think it's expanding now to a bigger idea that I've talked to you about before. That's the idea of relationships and bonding and marriage.
Bonding.
Okay. I feel that I have outgrown my relationship or have grown in a different way.
All right.
Okay, and in our tradition or our culture, we have what's called divorce.
Yes.
And we have all kinds of
a ceremony that you have created in the recognition that the ceremony you call marriage is not always indicative of what a relationship is about.
Right. And I remember you told me that in your society you come together for whatever period of time serves you.
Yes.
And then it can change.
It can, yes.
Okay.
Because everyone in our society, not exactly in the same way you mean the term, but everyone in our society knows they are married to everyone else. Therefore, all in the society. Therefore, all the relationships that might occur within our society are all relationships that occur within the marriage.
Okay. How do I put this? One of the beliefs around the process of divorce is that it's painful, that it's hurtful, that it breaks up this and it breaks up that.
Yes,
and now,
it does not have to carry that definition.
That's what I'm going to ask you. How can a person proceed through this without, and by transforming that definition? And what about the others who don't carry that understanding?
All right. Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you know it doesn't have to be painful?
I know it doesn't have to be painful, but it still feels that way.
All right. But do you remember what a feeling is?
I've forgotten.
Oh, I'll remind you.
Thank you.
Any feeling you have, all of you, all feelings are reactions to what you believe to be true. So anytime you feel a certain way, it's because you believe a certain way. Because you have a particular definition that causes the feeling reaction. Feelings are secondary reactions to definitions you have bought into most strongly. So if you have a feeling you don't prefer, use that as a signal to get in touch with what type of definition about the circumstance you would have to have in order to generate the type of feeling you're having. If you discover that that definition is something you don't prefer, redefine it, rewrite it to the definition you do prefer to have, and as soon as you do that, and start acting like the new definition is the one you buy into most strongly, then your feeling will automatically change of its own accord, because your feelings can only reflect the strongest definitions you buy into.
Those be what we call like core beliefs sometimes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it does not even have to be what you call a core belief. It can be a very simple definition. Simply because you have been taught to think a certain way, you keep assuming that something has to be a certain way.
And can one person in that whole family system reflect that? So that every person in that family system can go through it more gently?
Yes. However, do not expect that everyone must do so. In other words, to answer the second part of your question, if you are reflecting the idea as best you can to give them the best opportunity you can to change, but they don't choose to do so, that's as far as your responsibility can go. You cannot be responsible for what they choose to react to. But you can do your best to give them the best opportunity through open and honest communication of understanding who you are and therefore who they are actually in a relationship with. If they then decide to match your frequency, they will change. If they don't, they won't.
And so if we say someone is incapable of changing, that is not a truth. Everyone is capable of change.
Of course.
Because that has been a definition in our society.
Absolutely. Change is the only constant in creation. It is the actual only stable factor.
Okay. Now, this is a particular issue that I'm having to make a decision about right now, but it seems to be a pattern in my life that I have trouble making decisions.
I see.
Now, I could say, just because I feel that I have, then therefore I can't do it.
Yes.
But it's a pattern, and how do you break a pattern like that, or how do you discover the reason?
Number one. Once you recognize you have a habit, you don't have it anymore. A habit is something you do you don't know you're doing. Once you know it's a habit, you have to be beyond it in order to know you had it.
Okay.
You have to be, quote unquote, looking back from the outside in order to see the pattern. Once you know it was a pattern, you don't have it anymore. And the only reason it would continue or seem to continue is because A, you assume it must of its own accord. B, you don't believe you can change it, or you believe you have to do something special to change it, or you don't believe it's already changed just because of your recognition of it. Understand?
Yes.
So, A, if you recognize it as a habit, you're not doing it anymore. What makes it seem to continue is you giving it the same old definition. Just because it appears on the surface to be similar, don't assign the same old meaning. Give it the new meaning, and it will change. Understand?
Yes. Okay.
Secondly,
go ahead. Sorry.
The idea is to also allow yourself to be aware that when you are living fully in the moment and doing what excites you the most, the things you need in life will automatically come to you in such obvious ways, it won't be a matter of having to make a decision. It will be obvious which way to go. And if for any reason you find yourself at a crossroads and you don't know which way to go, if both opportunities seem equal, then it doesn't matter which way you go. Choose one, and by making that choice, it will then, by having taken the first step, become exceedingly clear as to whether or not that's the step you wanted to take. Understand?
Yes, but some steps seem so, quote, final as opposed to the other step.
Nothing is final. You are eternal and infinite. You have all the time in creation. What's your hurry? Relax. The more you relax with where you are and the decisions you do make, the sooner you will give yourself the ability to create any idea you wish. You are never locked. There may be ideas that if you make a certain decision, then by your own definition must lead you to a certain conclusion. But that doesn't mean you cannot learn from it something you wanted to learn. It doesn't mean it doesn't belong in your life. There are no interruptions in your life. No matter what you choose, they all fit. And if you have that definition, you will get out of them the ideas that will serve you more quickly. Than assuming, I don't belong here, this has no business in my life, what can I possibly learn from this? Nothing. By assuming that, you make it take longer. You make it seem more final and irrevocable. Because you refuse to acknowledge its place in your life. The sooner you acknowledge that it belongs in your life, because obviously there it is, and there are no extraneous and pointless creations, the sooner you will understand why it is there, what will be the result of your choice, and the sooner you will be able to transform it into what you prefer it to be, if it turns out to be something you don't prefer. Because understand, if it is something you don't prefer, then what it has done is put you in touch with a belief that used to be unconscious that is now conscious. And that means you don't ever have to choose that again. Understand?
Yes. This can go for any decision on any level.
Any decision on any level, forever. No end. Understand?
So, yes.
So
if I'm feeling, which I am, that all I can do, or all I feel that I can do right now is stay in the moment, which makes me happy,
yes,
and not make a decision. When I try to make a decision, it makes me unhappy, sad.
Let the decisions be obvious.
Just
be in the moment. You will always attract the most obvious path. If it excites you, act on it.
Do sometimes we confuse excitement and fear?
Yes. Sometimes there can be a fine line because excitement and anxiety are the same energy. One with trust and one with doubt. So, be aware and be honest with yourself as to whether or not you are performing an action because of anxiety, fear and doubt, or because it really does excite you. Is it an action or a reaction?
Yes.
Understand?
Yes.
Does that serve you?
Yes, I would like to ask you why I can understand what you're saying and incorporate it better when I'm sitting in the audience than when I'm standing here directly in your energy. It's as if I don't hear the words sometimes.
First of all, because you create there to be a difference. And that is one of your old definitions. But remember this, no matter where or when you are, the energy and the understanding you are feeling is your energy and your understanding, not mine. You are matching my frequency with your energy, and that's what you're feeling. All of you. If you feel any change at all in these interactions, it's because you are simply taking your cue from the radiative frequency I am, as you say, dishing out. And you are accepting it into your reality and creating your version of my frequency, and that's what you feel. Right now, what you're doing is focusing in a way that allows you to understand the words aren't all that critical. You're absorbing the information on whatever level you need to.
Yeah, I understood that. And because I'm not familiar with your frequency, I'm not able to do it on both levels simultaneously.
If you were not familiar to some degree with my frequency, you would not have been in this interaction today. Understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There will be, in your terminology, but a few moments remaining for this interaction, this day of your time. Proceed.
Greetings, Bashar.
And good day to you.
Good day. I have heard the various entities of body and soul that there is a proposed shift of the Earth's axis.
In a sense, most of it will be of an energetic electromagnetic shift. Individuals in isolated areas around your planet who determine whether that frequency shift will be for them positive or for them negative will experience it either as positively destructurization or negatively destruction. The idea is that any transformation of this magnitude that you are going through now can be experienced either in a positive or a negative way. There is a far greater opportunity now for a majority of your planet to experience it in a positive way, because many of you have already assimilated the idea of the old negative definitions, and the idea of the transformation does not have to be felt across your world as widespread as it used to in a negative way. But any individual can still determine for themselves that whatever frequency they are will automatically determine whether they plan to or not, where they will be when any of these shifts begin to occur. If they simply know that the idea of experiencing the shift as a trial by fire is not something that they need in their life, not something that they have to experience in their life to wake up, then they will be somewhere else. Even if they are within the confines of a particular event of that magnitude of a negative nature, they will not be touched. Understand?
So it will all kind of take care of itself, you're saying?
Whatever vibration you are will be how you experience these changes. They have already been going on for quite some time. The shift in that sense will intensify within what you call the next decade or two of your time. But the more you are willing to wake up now, the less you have to shake yourself awake. And the more you can use whatever does happen as an unlocking rather than the idea of a catastrophe.
Is it true there will also be 1,000 years of peace after this proposed shift?
Approximately that is the cycle. Within what you call another 1,000 of your years to 2,000 of your years, your society will go through another transformation where it will be similar to our society, and that is, it will be on the verge of translating from physical reality to non-physical reality. No longer needing the idea of a reincarnational experience at all. Understand?
Yes.
So that answers your question sufficiently. Thank you very much. At this timing, allow us once again to extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation and unconditional love in your willingness to co-create this reality with us this day of your time. Remember, you are living a dream. Wake up and dream the dream you prefer to dream. It is up to you. You are aspects and reflections and facets of the multi-dimensional crystal of infinite creation. All you need to be. Trust and love. You are living light. We thank you. And we bid you fond, exciting dream life and life dream, and a loving and ecstatic good day. How did it go?
Great.
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 Thank you all for being here today. Have a good time.
Those of you who want a copy, just see Lynn over here, and you can have your copies in a very short period of time. She's already got tape 1 made.
One other thing I think we mentioned before, Daryl will be back 4 weeks from today is the date.